Well, Hunter, welcome back to the show, man.
Yes, sir. It's been 2 years. When was
I think,
Texas?
yeah, we recorded when we were in Crane Camp
Yep.
out in
I
the
think that was
Panhandle.
22.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be 3 years. Wait, Jeff came? Did Jeff come before the trip before?
No, Jeff came after. He
Okay,
saw
so
what fun I had and kicked me off.
yeah, it's been probably 3 years
Uh,
then.
yeah, at least because I want to say it was right after COVID.
Yeah, yep, yeah. Man, that was a fun hunt.
Yeah, November 10th, 2021.
21. Okay,
Yeah, those
limited
things
out on cranes every day.
quickly too.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly. It was insane hunt.
Was
Ins-
that the no cranes for old men year?
No,
That was
no.
Jeff.
Yep, we had who were we with? We were the guide had the badass dog. What was it?
His name
Easy,
was Wyatt, I
Easy.
think.
Yeah, Wyatt. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wyatt and I think Hunter and his dad had just killed like a 200-inch muley while
Yeah.
we were in camp.
Yeah, so that next year when Jeff came, we hunted out of layout blinds and Wyatt combined with another guide because they had like the first day we had actually Wyatt left. He's doing cattle full time.
Okay.
Yeah, Wyatt's not there. And I forget the other guy. But he was just as good.
Hmm.
And so we had a slow hunt the first day, and by slow I mean it took till like 9:30, 10 o'clock to limit out,
Yeah.
which was fine. We just earned them. And then the next day, another guide with Final Descent, they had a field that just had, tens of thousands of
Found the
cranes.
X. Yeah.
They were like, let's combine groups. It'll be a barn burner instead of us each just trying to limit out again by 10.
Hmm.
And people had to get back to the airport, Jeff included. We were
Yep.
like, sweet, it sounds great. So we did. But the other guide's grandfather and his buddies were made up their crew, and
Shot all the birds.
them popping out of layout blinds was a little
Yep.
bit slow. And
Yeah.
so I
I
don't
can.
know who shot, and I personally shot my three, but the joke was no cranes for old men.
That would have been. Yeah. That's a good one. That
Yeah,
is a good one.
I can't control what my buddies do.
Yeah.
I shot my three and shot them dead with lead shot at like you know 30
10 feet.
yards, 20.
Yeah.
Well, some were 10 feet, but some were 30 yards. But that we were using fast lead
Hmm.
and just smoking them.
Yeah. Lead is that. If you have the opportunity to go to Texas and hunt cranes and use lead to kind of get that taste of what using lead was on ducks, like watching what it does to those cranes, I can only imagine what it would do to ducks. Like it's just,
Very few cripples.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just brutal.
That was before both of our times, though. I'm 40. I just turned 43.
Oh yeah, I'm a pup. I'm not even, what is it, 20? I'm 28 right now for
Yeah.
the next couple months. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
got a little bit left to go.
You just hear the old timers talk about it. Or I guess, I plan on duck hunting in South America someday, and
Hmm.
they don't really
No,
adhere
they
to the
don't.
same
No,
level of wildlife conservation that we do in this country.
no. I do want to go down there and do one of their dove hunts.
Mm-hmm.
And take my dad's got a buddy that goes down to Argentina every year, and he takes two brand new guns with him. That's the only time they get used.
Uh, dude, when I was there in April for Red Stag,
Hmm.
a box of shells they were charging $28. They were having a hard time getting shells in Argentina, and so, but they're paying 25 a box for them and then selling them to the hunters for 28. And if you're
28,
one of
just
the
to make.
guys that's shooting 1,000 to some guys shoot 2,500, 3,000 birds in a day. Think about how expensive that would be.
Yeah, for I mean, ugh. How much do you think 1,000 doves weigh, like meat wise? You think it breaks 100 pounds?
Oh, I don't
Like think
know.
of it from
That's
like
an
a cost
interesting
effective.
question. What does one dove breast weigh?
Yeah, and
I don't
it's
know.
like just think about it like that. It's just like the because doves are fun, but it's more of like the camaraderie type hunting than anything. Like they're stupid. They're gonna give it up. You're gonna shoot a pile of them. But when I think of dove hunting, I think about like making fun of my dad when he's missing like 15
Yeah.
of them in a row. Like I
Oh,
don't.
it's a social sport for sure.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
But I always say, like, I think September 1st for me is my favorite day of the year. And dove hunting
Oh,
isn't my favorite thing to hunt, but I mean, I
y-
love it, right? But well, it's like pick which kid you love the most. I love it, but
yeah. The air
uh,
feels different. I
yeah,
mean, it's all
but it kicks everything off. When is West Virginia's dove opener?
September 1st. So we got doves, geese, uh, and then bucks. You can archery hunting in like the 27th of September.
Okay.
I think so. It's like September 1st is like everybody and their brothers getting in that mindset. But at the same time, the last 3 days we've been 50 degrees at night.
Oh
So it
wow.
feels like fall for us right now. It's definitely switched everybody's mindsets up a lot
Uh-huh.
more past couple days.
Well, it's still hot as hell here, but a lot of blue wingers have started showing up. So
No,
they're.
we don't get any teal. I wish we did.
Do you guys get green wingers or like just no
Occasionally,
teal at all? Huh.
we get some, but they're typically lost as everything hunting. I always tell people if you kill a duck in West Virginia, it's probably lost. Um, I mean, there was a guy last year that killed.
So it's interesting that this waterfowl shot shell company is headquartered in waterfowl wasteland.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a wasteland. It's just like you get good if it gets cold, it gets really, really. I mean, you can have some hunts that would rival like some Arkansas hunts, depending on where you're at.
Uh-huh.
Um, but more often than not, like I love duck hunting, but I waste a lot of mornings watching the sun come up hunting in West Virginia. Like it's
Yeah.
when it's good, but when it's not, it is not at all. Trying
Mm.
to trying to get people to go do it with me is getting harder and harder every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, switching gears a little bit, Senator Joe Manchin he's announced he's retiring. He's not running for reelection.
Oh, it's a good old so we're gonna lose old pup dog or puppy dog, whatever his name is. You got to look if you don't know the dog, you got to look the dog up. He's hilarious.
Huh. Well, so this could be a big thing for conservatives if you know, and he's been a pretty moderate, like one of only a few moderate Democrat senators that's been willing
Hmm.
to break party lines
Yep.
on important issues. And I think that's because West Virginia really is more of a red leaning state. But
Oh, what? Yeah. I mean,
uh,
you got for the I would the majority of it is red, and then the Eastern Panhandle where we're at breaks
mhm.
off a little bit, but it's not much.
Well, but it's also a union state, you know, coal miners
Hmm.
and stuff.
Yep.
So he's had power for a long time. I don't know who's running on the conservative side, but do you think that seat will flip?
No, I don't. I don't see it flipping. There's probably the he everything's probably already locked up. I'd imagine there's not going to be anybody that opposes that has any type of serious pull within the state.
Huh. Well, I hope you're wrong. I hope there's some conservative. Well, because there's gonna have to be a Democrat, a fresh Democrat, and a Republican running against each other. I don't know who they are, but I was just curious to see what the mood was in West Virginia heading into the election cycle.
Yeah, I'll look more into it, but
Yeah.
I mean the way that it's gone with him, I would like it to flip
Hmm.
just to get more like West Virginia. We have so many people leaving, so many different things that should be happening that aren't happening, and then it's low hanging fruit for the most part. Like
Hmm.
it could be very simple things that just aren't clicking for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah. My experience with West Virginians is you guys, and then the hound hunters I run into while I'm elk hunting in New Mexico,
Yep.
because they come in droves, man. They're bear hunters, right?
Hmm.
And that is a huge part of West Virginia culture.
Yeah, the central part of the state, it is nuts. I mean, they'll run, and the bears that they run to, I never like. So we have a huge piece down in the central part of the state that we can hunt. And it's a couple thousand acres
Hmm.
all strung together. But these guys run bears on it, and they'll run the same bear 2 miles one way, and then the next morning they'll find the bear in the same spot it was the morning before. They just do big, huge circles and end up in the same spot every
and just
evening.
let the bear go.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't. So they like train. So I always run into bear hunters during turkey season, is
Okay.
and they can train their dogs and they can tree bears, but they can't kill them.
Uh-huh.
And they'll run turkey during turkey season. You'll hear them cut loose and running all over the place, chasing the bears down through. But the bear always, I mean, there's a giant bear on this
When is the
property.
actual bear season?
Um, there's an early season in October. I
Yeah.
want to say we have an early doe season. It's like October 20th to the 25th, I want to say. And there's an early bear then, and then it runs with our rifle season.
Okay. What like North Carolina has the biggest bears in the lower 48.
Giants. Yeah.
Yeah. What are y'all's bears like size wise? Does it get cold
Um,
enough? And I think the reason why the North Carolina bears get so big is because they don't hibernate. So
they
it's
don't
the
hibernate and they,
northernmost they get, right, without hibernating, something like that.
yeah,
And then
ours, I wouldn't say. I talked to a guy about it a couple years ago, and he said he's pretty convinced ours don't, by definition, hibernate. They
uh,
go in and sleep for an extended period of time, but they don't. It's not like go down in November, wake up whenever they wake up in the spring. It's
yeah.
like they'll be in and out. Um, they can get pretty big.
Okay.
Um, like
Mm.
I could send you a couple. I have no idea how to judge them, especially black bears. They're the ears, I guess, the farther down the side of their head they are, the bigger they are.
Yeah.
I can send you a couple of them, and they're starting.
Here's one I got in
Yeah,
Alberta.
yeah, that would be a little bigger than what we're getting. I would
Mhm.
say a majority of the time you're probably getting the 100 to 150 pound bears.
Okay.
I know of a handful that have been bigger than that. One of which was 250 plus.
Okay.
So it's just healthy, just big, huge
Hmm.
mountain bears that nobody ever sees, and they're God knows how old.
Yeah. Right on. Well, going back to the upcoming bird seasons, steel dove is something that I've used for quite a few years now, and the reason why I like it is because I hunt a lot of stock tanks in the afternoons, dove
Mm-hmm.
hunting, and I don't want to put lead shot in the water. Ducks use those ponds in the winter. I hunt ducks on those ponds,
Mm-hmm.
but we just talked about how lethal lead is, but I've absolutely loved the performance of the steel dove. I don't know why it's so effective,
A lot of
but
pellets.
it smokes them.
Yeah. So steel dove has a insane amount of pellets in it. Each trigger pull, A, and B, the velocities are slower. So your patterns aren't like shooting, like think of it of like throwing a wiffle ball. The harder you throw it, the less predictable it's going to get. If you slow steel down, it'll get relatively predictable. And
Uh-huh.
it's, I mean, 300 pellets is hard to get away from at any rate. But when you slow it down and you get everything on target, that's going to be what helps you more than anything.
Hmm. Do you think West Virginia has like a big dove hunting culture?
Oh, oh yeah, yeah, that's the one thing that's like duck hunting. You're not going to get a whole lot of it. You'll get some diehard dudes that have their spots that they protect with tooth and nail. But dove hunting is something that's crazy big here.
Huh.
Like there's a spot, no free ads, but there's a spot down like 45 minutes from us that does a dove hunt. If you're familiar with, have you heard the name Oliver North?
Yeah.
Yeah, we dove hunt with him every year.
Okay.
Or I don't think he was there last year. I think he was sick or something came up and he wasn't there last year. But I mean, it's like 200 people spread
Mm.
out throughout this orchard, and everybody limits.
An
Like it-
orchard.
Yeah,
Huh.
orchard, and then they rake, um, or they till up like strips in between pastures and a creek, and
Okay.
it just crushes birds.
And it's
You,
morning doves.
yep, and
Okay.
thousands of them.
I've never hunted them in an orchard. Most of our stuff down here is over agriculture or native sunflower or stock tank or something, when they're coming
Yeah.
to water. Um, okay. Um, so are you at the age of 28 still battling a 12 gauge during dove season? Or have you
No,
switched over to a more gentlemanly 20 gauge?
I use a 20 a lot now.
When you started, though, you're a big guy. I'm sure, like everyone, you're like shooting a 12 gauge for
Oh
doves.
yeah, I love. love my 12 gauge. It's probably the gun I'm most confident with.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't even have a front bead on my 12 gauge. Like I'm just very repetition with that is very, very good. But I'm trying to get. I don't need to beat myself up. Like I've
Right.
completely cut out all 3.5 inch stuff, down to 3 inch for both 12 and 20.
It's funny how we evolve, like,
Yeah, why?
and
Why do you need
I'm a
it?
big guy too. I mean, I don't need to not shoot a 12 gauge, but I'll tell you what, I like shooting a pop gun. It kills them just for me, just as effectively.
Yeah, like the guys. So I deal with a lot of customers on a day-to-day basis, and the amount of guys that request 10 gauge still, I do. That's the one thing I don't get. And like, I get your gun's heavy.
Uh-huh.
I get it had to you, it doesn't have recoil, but why?
Yeah.
Like, it's just something that, like, there's videos of guys crushing geese with 28 gauges. Why do you need to keep beating this 10 gauge drum?
I have never shot a 10 gauge in my life.
Yeah, I don't ever plan to. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not
I'm not
something that,
against it. I mean, but for me, like, I don't. But the same thing when I first started goose hunting out there where we were crane hunting.
yeah,
One of my buddies went to Texas Tech. A good friend, Greg Pavor Outdoors. Now he's a full time outfitter. But when he was in college, he was just knocking on doors, and we had just thousands and thousands of acres out there to hunt. And we both were like, "Oh, we got to get the 3.5 inch," And we're in college, and we're like, "But we got to get the cheapest we can find." So, we're
yep,
blowing our shoulders out with cheap old Winchester Expert 3.5 inch BBs. Like,
yeah, you
we didn't know
don't,
any better.
yeah, and that's the three. I feel like 3.5 inch too. Typically, everybody tries to just put as much speed as you possibly can into that load for whatever reason, and you don't need it. The
Mm.
slower, I mean, Faststeel Plus, even, it's all slowing down, and we're seeing better and better patterns and better results the slower we go on it.
Yeah.
So it's find what makes you happy. If you can
Do
shoot
you
it, shoot it.
still? I'm. I think I still. I don't even know. I don't think last year I even shot 3.5 inch turkey loads.
Now that's another thing that doesn't, like, 3.5. What was my dad dies on the hill of shooting 3.5 inch turkey shells. And it's like
Mm.
3.5, 2 1/16 ounce or 2.5 ounce slow charge. It's like, dude, you love abusing yourself. Like, why in God's green earth are you shooting that? Like, it's like a 3 inch shell, 3 inch lead sixes, all you need. Killed birds at 10 yards, have killed birds at 50 yards. You don't,
You just need to make. I mean, the main thing about turkey hunting is you just got to pattern your gun, know what it's going to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I still wish Kent would go back to making turkey loads.
Give it, give it a little bit. Give it a
I think
little
that
bit.
was a byproduct of the pandemic and lack of supplies and
Yeah, and just the turkey load we had out wasn't the most efficient, and
uh,
how the processes behind it weren't. Give it a little bit. There's been
mm,
conversations had.
right on.
I say this on every podcast that I'm on ever. It is a really good time to be a Kent fan, and the next 2 to 3 years is going to be an even better time to be a Kent fan.
Yeah. Well, and anyone that's listened to our conversation or the discussions I've had with Jeff over the years, they know that I started shooting Kent in college when those red Winchesters started. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why am I crippling? I'm killing my dog here. He's having to swim halfway across the lake. But I was, waiting tables and bartending, and so I was trying, like,
Got to do what you
those
got to do.
maybe were like $8.99 at Kent's. I really think the first box of Faststeel I purchased was $11.99,
Yep.
maybe $10.99. And when I made the switch over, I was like, this is way more efficient. And I've shot Kent ever since then. So
Yeah.
that's, 15, 20 years about. I
Yeah.
think I started waterfowl hunting when I was 21. So something like what y'all started in 97.
97. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. So I've had a good run with Kent. And one of my favorite hunts uh, was we did a hunt with Mossberg, a teal hunt a couple years back, and Ducks
Mm-hmm.
Unlimited was there. And we were shooting 28 gauges at teal. That
That's,
was a pop gun.
yeah, little chapstick rounds,
Yeah.
those things, man. I need
I
to
don't even
get,
own a 28 gauge. Mossberg brought all the guns.
yeah, I
Um,
need to go. That's the next thing on my list is a 28 gauge,
yeah.
just to, just to do. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
nice. I mean, it's a step up from a 410, but not much. I don't know. I'll start looking at the ballistics on it. We got a couple new things, 28 gauge related, that are going to be
Mm-hmm.
flying out here over the next, what, 12 months.
Yeah.
So we'll be I'll have more R&D related numbers to throw at people over the next little bit.
So did you come to Texas last year for teal season? Didn't you do a cast and blast?
No, so I went down.
Or Louisiana?
No, where was it? Was in the northern. It wasn't quite the panhandle of Texas. We did a little hunt with Lucky Duck. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, lucky. There was a whole hodgepodge of like younger hunting industry guys that were there. I think there was probably 15 of us roundabout.
Uh-huh.
Um, and just beat up on some doves for a couple days and jetted back home. It was Texas is so crazy when it comes to all that stuff. It's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, we took well, we shot dove when you came.
Yep.
We shot a handful. It was a good hunt.
Yeah, it
But
was
man, when Jeff yeah, some
collared doves,
collared
right?
dove. Uh-huh.
Yep.
When Jeff came though, man, we absolutely murdered him that
Was it
afternoon.
colder when he came?
No,
Or
dude,
was
it
it
was
warmer?
hot. It
Oh,
was hot. Yeah. I mean, we were in shorts in the field that afternoon. I
oh,
remember
that's
that.
nice.
Yeah. Um
Super nice.
so you're about to have a kiddo. So what does your early season look like? Are you going to do any teal hunting? Are you traveling?
Um, I won't be doing any teal hunting. Depending on when she comes, is gonna really. So she's due on the 20th of September. So realistically, I'll get a couple dove and early
Mhm.
goose hunts in, and then it's gonna be shut down for an extent. No
Yeah.
idea. I might save up all my fun tokens and burn them during the rut. I have no idea. It's her first
Yeah.
kid, so I'm trying to keep everything tight to the chest. So I can just be like, hey, I'm gonna disappear for a couple hours, pop out,
Yeah.
do a
No,
sit.
you'll figure it out. That's what we do. We learn on the fly.
Yeah,
You don't know until they hand you that kid and they're like, "This is yours now."
yeah.
In that
Take it
moment,
home.
life changes.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be something. We had our first scare yesterday where we thought she was starting to show some early signs of labor, so we wanted
Uh,
to go get everything checked out, and it was like walking into the hospital, and my mom works at the hospital, so it was like kind of had that like 30 seconds of like talking before we went in, and it was like, man, I could leave here with a little human. Like
yeah.
it's a very unique feeling.
Well, it's even weirder when they hand you one and you have that one in your left arm, and then the doctor's like, "Oh, here's the other one," and hands you,
No,
yeah,
God.
and then you're
No, we
holding
both
two
have,
little girls at the same time. That was
yeah,
crazy.
we
Yeah.
have twins that runs on both sides of our family. And the
Mm.
first ultrasound we went into, I was like, can you like flip her on her side? Just make sure that there's not two of them. Because it would be cool to do, but I don't want my first experience to be twin girls. That
See,
would
that's what I
be,
always say. We having had a son, I think it was easier. But going back to it's learning on the fly, baptism by fire. Like you just figure it out, even if you
yeah.
have two the first time around. But I do think it was easier for us having already had one under our belt. Um, you saw the well. I'm going to say it's bad news. It is bad news. It's because the teal numbers dropped below the threshold on blue wingers.
Mm-hmm.
So next season, 2025, the
Sure.
whole Central Flyway is dropping from a 16-day season, and it's 16 days because that's 3 weekends, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they have it like that. Now it's going to be 2 weekends next year. And
That,
dude, the stats were that was what was so mind-blowing was I was reading this article in the Houston Chronicle, and the thing that was eye-opening was the breeding population was estimated at 4.599 million blue-winged teal, which dipped below the threshold that triggers a shorter hunting season. according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife guidelines. So it has nothing to do. So people were like, "Screw Texas Parks and Wildlife," that
Yeah.
was their reaction. I'm like, "Whoa, this is a flyway related thing. This has nothing to do
Yeah,
with
nothing to do
it.
with
It
that.
affects Texas, but it's not a Texas reg." And so the threshold for a 16-day season is 4.7 million birds. So literally 100,000 birds short. And you know what that makes me
Uh,
think? It makes me think of all the outfitters in Mexico and Central America that just shoot 20 of them. I'm like, but also migration patterns have changed. Like I know just from going fishing in the late spring, early summer, that blue-winged teal are breeding in Texas. They
yeah.
stay here, and then they migrate. They're long gone now. The ones that are here now have migrated south. But those aren't counted. The survey area hasn't changed. So it's like I
Yeah,
mean I
you're
get it,
seeing
and I
all. Yeah.
preach
Oh,
scientific
that's
wildlife management, so I'm not really bitching too hard about if the numbers say this, then okay, we're going to follow the science. But patterns have changed, and I don't know.
yeah.
It sucks all the way around. It sucks
Now
that we have less ducks.
now what happens to, I mean, let's say next year the 2 weekends goes, it works. N- People don't kill as many birds, and then the next year it jumps back up over that threshold.
Hmm.
Are they going to keep it at the 2 weeks and say, hey, there's a huge increase? Let's keep that going and build it up, and then like in 2 years revisit it to
Yeah.
extend it? Or is it just going to be like that fluctuation where it's like every odd year you're going to have that extra weekend to pull the
I don't know, but
population?
it's a big deal for outfitters. I mean, there's
Mhm.
a ton of guys on the Texas coast and other various areas,
Yeah.
Panhandle, that they depend on early teal season. That's a whole weekend of hunters and lodging and everything else.
Now, are
That's a big
you
hit
guys
for
can
them
hunt? You can hunt 7 days a week.
during early teal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The like I'm thinking of it from so we border Maryland. In Maryland, you can't hunt on Sundays, which is
Lame.
interesting. Yeah. So it's like you're buying like I have to spend, it's like a
They better be in
hundred.
church then if they're not hunting.
Yeah, it's like $170 for an out-of-state guy to hunt just to get the basic package. You get waterfowl rights and whatever. $170. I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, I'm only doing this for like 10 hunts a year. Like I'm really starting to think about like not doing it because it doesn't, like if I have to skip or have a kid that has soccer on Saturday mornings, I'm not gonna be able to hunt at
Mm-hmm.
all in Maryland.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
just,
crappy thing. Like when you take away one of the weekend days, well, when are people off work?
yeah, it's like you're getting guys to pay all this money to take vacation, like forcing them to burn vacation days to hunt. It doesn't
And if
make
you're gonna
sense.
miss church, like being outside in God's great outdoors is a good place to be.
Yep.
If you're gonna skip church,
Yeah.
I always feel pretty close to the Creator when I'm in the woods or on the water. But anyway, on a side note, on more of a positive side, they're also talking about increasing the pintail limit in the Central Flyway to 3 birds. So I think kind of where what you were alluding to was, well, what if the numbers come back, but they just keep the season at 9 days, right?
Yep.
And then that sucks for everybody, and then that's not scientific. So I'm trying to give them some, kudos for at the same time saying, but we're going to increase the pintail limit. So maybe it's not doom and gloom there. I mean, everyone's excited about 3 pintails.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'm still trying to, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to go after, because like I'm every hunt that I go on, I try to pull one specific bird to get mounted from that hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And every time pintail comes up in conversation, they just disappear every
Mm.
time. So
Mm.
that's been my white whale the past couple years, that trying to nail one of those suckers down has been hard.
um, the first duck I got mounted was a pintail, and I got a funny story for you on that. So it was the first season I started duck hunting. I was 20 or 21. I had my lab that I got with a girlfriend, and she left, and I transferred from Baylor to North Texas, so I was back in the North Texas area.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody talked me into going duck hunting, so I took the dog, and the dog hated it, but the dog liked to retrieve.
Yeah,
The dog hated fireworks, hated guns.
love to
Somebody
retrieve.
somebody shot a duck finally by the grace of God because they were kind of new to it too. And I had to wait a lot of tables to buy that old 870.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, okay, I guess we're going duck hunting. And they're like, bring your dog. Oh, you're the only one that has a dog. It's a lab. It's gonna fetch ducks, right? I'm like, well, you should see what this dog does when loud noises go off.
Yeah.
So I had it timed to the blind, and someone shot a duck, and I let him off of his leash, which he'd been trying to run when we were missing. Like he was trying to drag the blind away with him, and the dog went and got the duck and brought it back. And then he was hooked on duck hunting, and then I was like,
You
well,
were
he
hooked
likes
on
it,
duck
and
hunting?
I
Yep.
like it too. So now I'm a duck hunter, and so I'm trying to figure out duck hunting, and I was like, I want to get a pintail. Those are so pretty. And so my brother and I go out on Ray Roberts, and it was like 15 minutes from the house we had in college. And I shoot this pair of ducks come to my side, and I shoot them both. And I'm like, oh, look at this. I told my brother, look at this beautiful pintail drake. After the hunt, we went straight to the taxidermist, and I took the pintail, and I said, how much would it cost me to mount this pintail? And the taxidermist looked at it, and he goes, it'll be $175 to mount that widgeon.
Oh my God. That's gold.
And I
That is
said,
gold.
it's a nice widgeon, right? He goes, yeah, it's a beautiful one. I was like, I really have my heart set on a pintail, but thanks for the lesson in duck identification.
Yeah.
But
That,
no one taught me how to duck hunt. I learned as I went, and that was
yeah.
just like a funny hiccup along the way.
Yeah. That we're we're gonna have to start getting some content out of this. So we got a military kid that just started working for us and is handling like some of the customer service stuff. And I wanted to gauge because he said he hunts and he does all this other stuff. So it's like, all right, like he lived in Georgia for God knows how long. So he's like he's pretty well put together. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, all right, we're gonna gauge to see how much you know. And I went through a friend of mine. If you've seen his stuff on Instagram, Art Diaz, he's a waterfowl photographer, and his
Okay.
stuff is it's amazing. And I went through his Dropbox file that Kent has for content related stuff, and I'm like going through showing all the different pictures of ducks. I was like, what type of duck is this? What type of duck is this? Man, the names he would pull, I have no idea where he would pull, but he like the. I wish I would have recorded it because I mean, we would have been viral on Instagram, and it was.
Uh,
I think I'm gonna start doing that type of content level stuff to tie into the pintail widgeon. I like
yeah. Well, and
it.
I think when I was first trying to like earn my stripes doing this, I probably would never have told that story. I was too embarrassed. But
No, but the
was it
honesty,
15 years and I could care less. But
yeah,
and I think people can relate to that because unless your dad took you hunting as a kid, which my dad took me bass fishing and camping, and
yeah,
we didn't hunt. I picked it up in college when I got that 870. I was like, I'm a duck hunter, and then I was a dove hunter, and then I was a deer hunter, and then I was an elk hunter, and everything evolved from there. But my first love was waterfowl,
yeah.
and but you know, give me 3 seasons later, and I could tell you every duck, but as it was, 500 yards away. I'm like, oh, those are widgeon.
Yep.
Those are canvasback. Look how they're flying. Those are
All that
ringneck.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts to be able to just be in a hole with guys and have them just call out and be like, teal coming in on the left. And you look over and it's like, those are Tweety birds. And then 15 seconds later, they're in the hole. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's the guys that can do that and can do it efficiently and effectively, or
Oh, I
it's
can do it
such a
now.
badass thing.
And I think anyone that's hunted waterfowl a lot can tell you what you're going to shoot before it's ever in the spread.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how we evolve as hunters, and sometimes you just got to teach yourself. So, but I fell in love with it, and then all during duck season, my brother and I, we were scheduling class so that we could get to class by like 10 a.m. so that we could go duck hunting first.
Go hunt in the morning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what here's a question, and I don't know the answer to this, but you probably will, and I think it is an interesting one. We were talking about switching from 12 gauge to 20 gauge, and I don't waterfowl hunt with a 20 gauge. I shoot a 12 gauge. But what percentage of your steel shot for waterfowl or bismuth or whatever, what percentage of that is of the 20 gauge denomination?
Oh, pure guesstimate,
Uh-huh.
max 20%.
Okay.
Like it is still very much 12 gauge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
that 20 gauge is growing, but it's not it still doesn't hold a candle to 12 gauge. I mean, even 3.5 inch still probably outranks 20 gauge as a whole,
Really?
which is crazy.
Uh-huh.
But guys like to go bang, and they like to bang to hurt really, really bad. I don't know. It's every time that somebody like next door is out and they got a case of ammo that they want to pattern test to do something, it's always the 3.5 inch. And
Mm.
I'm always the guy that's, hey, can you go shoot this real quick? And then it's just the headache and everything else. I mean, shooting a gun when a duck or a turkey or something is in front of you is adrenaline's rolling is one thing. But shooting a 3.5 inch gun multiple 15, 20 times in a short period of time in the middle
Mhm.
of the summer is one of the worst forms of torture ever created. It is
Uh,
brutal.
I don't enjoy shooting turkey loads. I'll be honest. Like, but in the moment, I don't care, right? But like,
Yeah, you're so cranked
they're
up.
not. It's not fun to shoot. Turkey loads thump you. You know.
Yo, yeah.
And I've got a short barrel, Mossberg turkey gun, and it thumps. It's not fun to shoot.
Nope.
But I think the only time I ever went and shot, and then literally was like my shoulder is sore, was when I sighted in my 375 Ruger for Cape Buffalo,
Ugh.
and it took me 18 shells to get it, which is too many, right? But that's how many it took. And by shell 10, I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, and it's
I couldn't imagine shooting some of the, bigger like Nitro Express of 416s.
yeah.
What is it? There's like a 600 Nitro Express out there.
I I mean even
Hmm.
uh
If I ever want to go elephant hunting, maybe I'll find out. But
yeah, just use a stick of dynamite. I
mhm.
mean, it's equally as effective and not gonna hurt your shoulder as much. Like it's
Yeah.
just
So how was Faststeel Plus received because I think in 2022 Jeff brought it and we were testing it
yep,
out. So
yep.
2023 was the first year full scale available to waterfowlers.
And it
What were the reviews?
kicked ass.
Yeah.
The level the level of accuracy that you're gonna get, and accuracy with a shotgun, I feel like is a double negative, but the consistency that you get with your patterns with that, and the lethality out to that 40-yard range on the backside of your decoy spread, that is where you're going to notice the difference in Fast Steel Plus. And a lot of the guys that shot it, that's everybody came back with the same thing. It was like,
Mm.
we're killing more birds at longer ranges, feeling more confident in their shots. And really, that's at the end of the day, the confidence is what's going to be able to push you over the edge with that. And if you have
Mm.
confidence in a show, it's going to go. And a lot of guys bought into it last year, and it's really been well received.
Mm. Oh, one sec. Hey, Frankie. Frankie, come here. Quickly, I'm recording. Shut the door and I'll come tell you bye in a second. Just shut the door, please. The girls are headed to a soccer tournament in Houston, so they're getting out of school early
Oh, there
today,
you
so they
go.
just walked in the door. I'm not going. Henry has games here, so I'm staying. But anyway. Well, so my experience was very similar. Faststeel Plus was, and I think there was one day that we had a mixed goose and crane spread when Jeff was there, and
Mhm.
so you can't shoot lead
Yeah, you
at
can't have lead
geese.
if you're doing
Uh,
both.
yeah, nowhere near you, right?
Yep.
So we were shooting Faststeel Plus that day. Throw 3-inch shells, smoked them. And yeah, my experience with it last year was equally as impressive. Uh, but what is the sales pitch like? If you're loyal to Kent already, why switch from regular Faststeel 2.0 to Faststeel Plus?
So the biggest thing with Fast Steel Plus is going to be we slowed everything down. So like your
That
typical
seems
ounce and
so
a
weird to say
quarter,
we're slowing stuff down to kill them better, right?
and yeah, and I thought the same thing because I'm being like relatively new to the waterfowl space. I'm thinking, look, and coming from rifles specifically, like
Yeah.
my
Or
300,
bows, whatever.
yeah,
We're chasing speed.
yeah, you need speed. Like speed kills. There's a reason that people say that. When I tell you we, and by we, it was just I at that point.
Mm.
We had 3 loads, or it was like 15 loads that we developed, and I needed to get 3 patterns and a improved cylinder and a modified choke. So I'm shooting 6 patterns for each load, and then we shrunk it down until we finally landed on what it was. We started at 1300, which is what we run our ounce and 3/8 Faststeel 2-point load at, and we ran it all the way to like 1625
Mm.
or whatever the highest threshold in a 3-inch round would take, let us go. And we did 50 feet per second, and we landed on that 1450. And the patterns that you'll get from that are lights out. I mean,
Mm.
it's like nothing we've ever seen before. We sent it off to get independently pattern tested, and the guy that we sent it to called us back and made us verify our pellet counts because it wasn't making sense in their system. Said he's never seen anything like it.
Oh.
And out of a steel load, that's not something you come by every day.
Yeah.
So like if you have a spot that you have ducks and geese, or even cranes and geese, whatever it is, the 2s and 4s are going to be all you need and more. You're getting the energy of a number 2 pellet with the pellet count of like a heavy, like number 3 load. So it's just it's the rare instance of a best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was hoping that everyone else's feedback was similar to what I experienced. So,
Oh yeah,
I don't see how it wouldn't be.
no, it's a pretty badass little load.
Yeah. And you said, like you said earlier, some exciting stuff coming up here in the near future from you guys.
Oh yeah, it's gonna start coming out. When it starts coming out, it's gonna be hard to get that door closed.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a couple
Have
years of fun.
we? And I think the answer is yes. But have we officially put COVID in the rearview mirror from like a components and manufacturing standpoint? Have we caught up?
No, I mean like
No.
now powder's a big thing now, and you're
Okay.
gonna get that everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna continue to have hiccups. I mean, and stuff it's not gonna be COVID related
Yeah.
directly, but like the goofy thing the other it's been about what, a month ago now, when that update happened and like shut the world down. That
Yeah.
type of stuff happens not daily, but it's just annoying little things that have hiccups. I mean, look at it as like, I mean, you said the kids are going to a soccer tournament in Houston. Houston
Yeah.
is known for like having the worst traffic in all of America.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And it's like there's a study out there that shows like if one car breaks, every car behind of it for the next mile is going to slow down.
Mm.
And it's just that type of thing. You have one thing that hits pause and it pushes out for God knows how long. And it's just finding ways to maneuver around and stay nimble.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with something exciting that we're doing. I believe in December. We had this sea duck hunt plan last year, and I was in Mexico actually chasing coos deer, and I got a call from Jeff, and I was coming back from Mexico, and the next day getting on a plane to fly up to Boston,
Boston.
and the weather was crap, and so the guide was like, "This isn't going to be worth it. It's
Yeah, it was like gale force winds or something you were dealing
yeah."
with. Just nuts.
So we didn't do it. We're going to do it. I think we're doing it in December. I don't know if you'll be making that trip with a
Nope,
newborn.
I will not.
So
Will
it'd be
not. I'm
just
trying to go
old
find something to do. But
Hefe and myself.
yep, you got another hilarious human is I think going to be making that trip by the
Another.
name.
So I'm funny. All right. That's great.
Yeah, uh, Joseph Joseph Edwards,
Okay.
aka Hipster Woodsman. Um,
Hipster Woodsman.
Hilarious. Yeah, he's the he'll be
Based
the
off his
camp.
name, maybe we're going to get into some political discussions. Who
No,
knows?
it's a oxymoron. He's
Okay.
the complete opposite. Like you're gonna be fine. You can ride him for the first little bit as such, but he is the type of human that could punch you in the mouth, laugh about it, and you're gonna laugh with him. Like he's just a big
Sweet.
old. He's
So we're
hilarious.
going to get some good content out of that then.
Oh yeah, it'll
Tape
be.
a podcast while we're there.
Yes, no, he's a freaking goofball. Oh
Yeah.
my god, very similar to the 2021 conversation, if you can remember that.
With our cameraman.
Yes, yes, it'll be that level of
Steve,
just like, yeah,
cameraman
good old
Steve.
Steve.
He still messages me all the time. We still are good friends, but he got baptized, so he's I think he's changed his perspective in life a little bit. Yeah, so good for
Oh
Steve.
my God,
It
that's
was long
awesome.
overdue.
That's
Yeah,
so fun. We need to go get that same group together and have that same conversation again and see
yeah,
how much has changed on that.
uh-huh,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
Um,
God,
well, I'm excited about the trip. I'm sorry you're not going to be a part of it, but you're going to be exploring this new chapter of life, and I can only tell you that being a dad is amazing. It's the
yeah,
best. So
I'm looking forward to it.
congratulations, and yeah, hope you find time to get out there. And there's a big buck running around on this property I heard about that you have
Yeah,
permission to
yeah, yeah, that'll be if I can somehow run an arrow into that thing, I think I might retire from deer hunting after that. That'll be
Yeah, you say that, but I caught a 10-pound bass, and I did kind of like for like 2 years I was like, I'm not mad at him anymore, and I went bass fishing occasionally, but used to like spring
yeah,
I would leave the house when the kids went to school and like just go to ponds all the time.
fish
And
all
then
day.
after I caught that bass, I was like, eh. But I'm starting to get mad at him again.
Just from the story behind of it, like being able to like goes back to the little thing of like don't shoot a deer that you don't shoot a deer on the first day that you wouldn't shoot on the last day, or like
Mm-hmm.
everybody that I hang out with is like if you shoot this deer, you got to go the next caliber up and next caliber up. If this deer is as big as this individual has told me, I don't know.
That
I mean,
there's a
outside
next
of like,
caliber up. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, like without traveling, and 90% of the traveling I do is wing related. Like
Yeah.
it would be very I guess I could go elk hunting and that would be like a slam dunk, big next thing up, but
Uh-huh.
I, I don't know. And the story behind of it, like how often do you have large animals escape a government facility and are just
Uh-huh.
running around like
See,
everything
all right.
about
Well,
it.
you're giving away the information now. I was going to be
See,
mum on
I,
that,
I'm
but
willing to, I can take that risk. There's only 15 people in the whole country that would run into with that. And if they find it, they find it. Oh well.
so, but why is there a high fence facility in West Virginia that's like a government thing?
So for what so we're only that facility is probably only an hour into from DC. So you
Mm-hmm.
got all these guys coming, like all the abbreviations come in and train at this place. I think technically it's a border patrol facility, but they train everybody there. I mean, you
Okay.
get the black
They
hiss,
just got giant deer running around.
yeah. I mean, it's a few 100 acre property that they just have big deer running around, and then they just let this gate open every once in a while and let deer in and out. And this
Hmm.
absolute monster snuck out, and I have a little over a month to keep it, keep him, keep him happy, and hopefully
Yeah.
can get it done. But
Well, I hope you get him.
it'd be a story.
Send me a picture
Yeah,
when
I'm hoping I
the
can get some
when the deal
eyeballs on
is
him soon.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, brother, I appreciate the time. Thanks for everything. Thanks to Kent for being a long time supporter of the show, and I'm proud to support you guys as well. Always have been. So
Yep. Yes,
thank you
sir.
for that. And yeah, sorry you're gonna miss the hunt in December, but congrats
Oh,
on
it's got.
the new
I'm
chapter.
the coveted long-tailed duck. Sure, you
That's
guys are
right.
gonna.
Well, I call it an old squaw because I'm not PC, but whatever.
Yep, I get it. I get it.
All right, brother. Take
Yep.
care.
Yes, sir. I'll see you.
All right.